We know that anxiety runs in families. Not always, but very often it does. And some of that's genetic, we can't do much about that, but a lot of it isn't. And that really opens up an opportunity for us, an opportunity to help highly anxious parents raise confident children. So we put together a little intervention for parents who had anxiety disorders, giving them tips and hints, and basically everything we know about raising confident children. We were really pleased to find that at the end of that, if your parent had come on our workshop, our little one-day workshop, you were 16% less likely to have an anxiety disorder than a kid in the control group.
We know that the face-to-face version of the intervention worked really well. I used to deliver that intervention to parents myself, and it was transformative for some people, and the evidence showed that it worked. But it's really hard with face-to-face interventions, getting people to do them. Pressures of life really get in the way.
So we thought we have to do something to make this more scalable, to give access to the loads and loads of people out there who might benefit from it. So we put together a digital online version of the intervention. So we had 1,800 parents who have significant anxiety who took part in this study. Half of them were randomised. They were randomised into our treatment group and they got our digital online intervention. The other half, the other 900 families, were in what we call our control group. And they are super important. You cannot do this sort of science without having this control group who effectively get nothing.
Our feeling was that by taking something that worked well face-to-face and giving it to people in a way that they could engage with flexibly on their own terms, that we would hopefully get good results, but we didn't know. It was a real unknown, so there was a lot to find out in the process of doing this.
The results of the study show that even in a light touch digital format, there are clinically significant effects upon anxiety.
The course comprises 8 short modules. Each one takes about 15 to 20 minutes. We invite them to do quizzes and self-reflection type exercises, but there's also video content, animated content, and parents can do them whatever rate they like. So they could finish one and start the next, or they could do them over the course of weeks or months, depending on what they needed as a family.
The advice there is really practical. It doesn't dwell too much on the theory of things. It gets straight into what's really going to make a difference.
And what we found is the more of the intervention families did, the better. So some families just dipped in and out and did a little bit. Great, fine, we know families are busy and they got some effect. Their children were slightly less anxious. The families who did more of the intervention, and in particular, the families who did a whole lot. They did all the modules, they clicked on everything, they read everything, they did all the little quizzes, they watched all our little animations. They did really, really well. And their children at the end were absolutely soaring and were doing so much better in terms of anxiety compared to the control group.
But we also found out that taking part reduced the parents' anxiety as well, which is obviously really important because these are very anxious parents.
So what do we do next? Well, we've got 2 things. One is we want to get it tailored. We think we can make this so that it fits much better with individual parents. We can cut bits out that aren't relevant for them and make it quicker, shorter, sweeter. The other thing we want to do is get it rolled out so as many people as possible can access this. We want to make sure it's accessible to people who are not going to see a therapist, they're not getting help for their own anxiety but do want to do this anyway. But we also want to get it into NHS services so that they can offer it to people who are getting help for their own anxiety as well.